The man who once stood beside Hitler as his designated successor ended his life alone in a prison cell. His estate had already been destroyed, his art collection seized, his name placed at the center of the Nuremberg trials. But his wife and daughter were still alive. Interned, questioned, stripped of status. What happened to Hermann Göring's family after the collapse of the Third Reich? Hermann Göring was born in the late 19th century in Bavaria. His father, Heinrich Göring, had served as a colonial administrator and diplomat. As a young man, Hermann attended a military academy in Karlsruhe and later entered the Imperial German Army. At the outbreak of the First World War, he initially served in the infantry before transferring to the air service. He became a fighter pilot and, toward the end of the war, assumed command of Jagdgeschwader 1, the fighter wing previously led by Manfred von Richthofen. For his service, he received Germany's highest military decoration, the Pour le Mérite. After the war ended in 1918, he worked for a period in civil aviation in Scandinavia. In the early 1920s, he met Adolf Hitler and joined the National Socialist Party. In 1923, he participated in the Munich beer hall putsch. During the confrontation, he was seriously wounded. After the failed coup, he left Germany and stayed in Austria and Sweden. Upon returning to Germany, he resumed political activity and gradually regained influence within the party. In 1933, after Adolf Hitler became chancellor, Göring was appointed to high office. He became Minister of the Interior of Prussia and played a role in organizing political police structures. He later became President of the Reichstag. In 1935, he was officially appointed Commander-in-Chief of the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe. In 1936, he was placed in charge of the four-year plan, which focused on preparing the German economy for war. During the late 1930s, he was one of the most powerful officials in the Third Reich. In 1941, Hitler signed a decree naming Göring as his designated successor in the event that Hitler became unable to govern. In 1935, Göring married the actress Emmy. Prior to their marriage, she had been a professional stage actress performing in Berlin and other cities. The wedding took place in Berlin Cathedral. Senior party and state officials attended the ceremony. Adolf Hitler served as a witness. The wedding was broadcast by radio and documented in newsreel footage. After the marriage, Emmy ended her active stage career and moved to the Carenhall estate in the forests of Brandenburg. Carenhall was expanded into a large representative residence featuring extensive halls, hunting trophies, and a substantial art collection. The collection included works confiscated in Germany and in occupied territories. Official receptions, hunting events, and party gatherings were held at the estate. Emmy took part in representational duties and hosted guests. In 1938, their daughter Edda was born. Her birth was announced in the press. Adolf Hitler became her godfather. Photographs documented the baptism ceremony. Edda was the only child of Hermann and Emmy Göring. She grew up at Carenhall and later at Obersalzberg, where leading figures of the regime maintained mountain residences. During the war, Göring remained head of the Luftwaffe. After 1943, as Germany suffered major losses in the air war, his political influence declined. Nevertheless, he formally remained in office until 1945. In early 1945, as Soviet forces advanced toward Brandenburg, Göring ordered the demolition of the Carenhall estate. Works of art were removed or hidden. Göring withdrew to southern Germany. In April 1945, while Hitler was in the Berlin bunker, Göring sent a telegram referencing the 1941 decree and inquiring about assuming leadership. Hitler interpreted the message as an attempt to take power. He stripped Göring of all offices and ordered his arrest. Göring was detained and placed under house arrest at Obersalzberg. After Hitler's suicide, Göring was released. In May 1945, he surrendered to American forces. He was taken into custody and later transferred to stand trial before the International Military Tribunal in Nuremberg. During the proceedings, he was one of the principal defendants. He participated in hearings, was questioned, and gave statements. In the autumn of 1946, he was found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. On the eve of his execution, he committed suicide in his prison cell by ingesting a cyanide capsule. In 1945, Emmy and Edda were detained by Allied forces. They were interned in Bavaria, initially in special camps designated for families of high-ranking regime officials. The internment lasted more than a year. During this period, denazification procedures were conducted. Denazification authorities classified Emmy as a person associated with the regime. She was fined and faced restrictions. Portions of the family's property were confiscated. The Karen Hall estate had already been destroyed, and the art collection was dispersed among Allied authorities, later transferred to museums or returned to previous owners. After her release, Emmy and Edda settled in Bavaria. Their living conditions were significantly more modest than before the war. Emmy did not return to the theater. She lived as the widow of a man convicted at Nuremberg. In later years, she sought the restitution of certain confiscated assets through administrative procedures. In the early 1970s, she prepared a memoir. In 1972, her book My Life with Goring was published in London. In the book, she described her life with her husband up to 1945. The publication appeared in English. Edda attended school in West Germany after the war. She lived in Bavaria with her mother. As an adult, she worked in a medical laboratory. She retained the surname Göring throughout her life. She never married and had no children. In later decades, she submitted claims for the return of certain artworks. One case involved a Renaissance painting that had been confiscated after the war and was held in a museum collection. Her requests were denied. In public statements, she defended her father's legacy and criticized the Nuremberg verdict. Emmy died at an advanced age. Edda lived longer than her mother and died in the early 21st century in Bavaria. Neither held political or administrative office in post-war Germany. After 1946, the life of the Göring family was documented in internment records, denazification files, civil registry documents, and restitution case archives. The public wedding, the baptism with Adolf Hitler as godfather, and life at Karen Hall remained preserved in photographs and newsreel footage. The post-war period was marked by detention, administrative review, loss of property, and civilian life in West Germany.